In this session, we're going to take a look at the Inventor work feature called Plane. So a couple of things about the Plane tool. The plane exists in the origin folder of the browser. There are 3 default planes which orientate around the part. In this case, we've got a sketch which was drawn on one of those planes. And this is the plane that was used. Some basics about the plane feature. If you right click on it, you've got its visibility. So we'll turn its visibility on. You will notice that there are essentially 2 sides to the plane, an orange side and a green side. The orange side represents the positive direction if you were to extrude away from it. And in this case, the green side is the negative side if you were to extrude from that. So the work plane feature is essentially a tool that you can use in order to create a table, a location that you want to draw on. So in our example, we want to create a part that's going to extrude at a total length, but we want to cut out that's a calculation of a portion of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the basics of extrude again. So I'm going to extrude out this portion. We're going to set it to say 20 units center plane. So it's going to be 10 up, 10 down. But what we want to do is we want to create an extrude from the center that's always 1/4 from the total length and 1/4 down as well. So we can use the plane tool to create that limit. So to use the plane tool, we're just going to aim at the work plane command, select it to start it, and it has a couple of uses, and I'm just going to show you the first couple of uses. This excludes any cylindrical exercises that will be covered in a different session. So by default, if we aim at the top of any flat surface, you'll get a preview of the proposed work plane. If I select it, it'll then create it in that orientation, and then it wants almost like a snap point to connect to. So we're going to select a point along the top of that plane, and that'll generate a flat plane on that. But my previous example was I wanted 1/4 from that. So another way to use the plane tool, I'm going to turn it off, is we'll select the plane tool, and in the background, I'm going to click and drag down the direction I want to go in. And what it does is creates an offset. That offset must be the total length divided by 4, because that's essentially 1/4. So if this was 40, that would be 10. At the moment, it's on 20 total length. So I'm not going to go into parameters at this stage, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go name the parameter that created our length called height. So I'm just going to change this to height. And if we go create the plane again and create the offset, I'm going to go negative height bracket, close bracket, and I'm going to divide that by 4 units. So essentially it takes the total, divides by 4, and gives us the result. And if I accept that and I measure that from top to plane, it's 5 millimeters or 5 units. Same thing you'll notice if I do it from this orientation on the opposite side. So I'm just going to orientate it, drag it in the background, negative height, because I want to go away from the plane, divided by 4. Whoops. Click, drag, negative height divided by 4, accept that. So if we go and edit our feature like we saw in the previous sessions, I'll go change this to sort of 40 units. The planes are now going to be 10 millimeters from the end. 10 millimeters from the end. So it's always going to remain constant. Now we can use those planes as limits for our next extrude. So we're just going to go and extrude again this profile and this profile, but I want to extrude between those 2 planes. So you'll notice that we've got a between is turned off, so I'll turn that on, and now I can say between plane to the other plane, and it'll create a join between those 2. What is useful about this is if we just turn those off quickly. Well, turn off the sketch. Modify the total length of the extrude. Drop it down to 30 millimeters. it updates. So we've got a 7.5 plus, so let's go for that length rather, 15, and delta y. And that covers the basics of our plane tool.